So in the last video I showed you how to make parts and change their properties in Roblox Studio, but in this video I'm going to be teaching you how to change the properties of parts in scripts themselves, so the game can change the properties of the part without you sitting there and doing it manually. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a part fall out of the sky, and we're going to be changing the colour of the part, and then we're going to be making the part go back up into the sky and falling back down. So, and that sounds like a lot of stuff to do. I'm going to be going through bit by bit basically, try to make it as easy as possible. And yeah, it should be relatively simple. So the first thing you need to do is insert a part if you haven't got one already. So if you just go to the insert bit at the top and click part, and then we're going to make the part anchored. So in the properties tab, click check anchored, and then we can lift it into the sky. Again, if you don't have this properties tab or this explorer tab, you can go to the view tab and enable them both here. But also for this video we're going to be using the output tab, so enable that one as well. Alright, so the part's fine for now. Now we're going to make a script. So if you go to Serve Script Service in the Explorer tab and click this plus here, and then search up script, and then just click on a normal script there. So it should insert a script into Serve Script Service. You can double click, it should open, and now we can start writing lines of code. So the first thing we're going to do is define a variable that's going to reference this part that's in the game's workspace, so we can change the properties inside the script. So a variable is basically just something that holds data, so then you can use the variable name later in the script rather than writing out the path to the part every time you want to use it. So to make a variable, you first need the keyword local. That's just how you define variables, and then you can call the variable whatever you like. So I'm going to call it part, and then set it equal to with an equal sign, and then we need to reference this part that's in the workspace. So the first thing you need to do to get anything is do game, then dot is how you separate different parts, and then workspace, which is here, the workspace, and then the parts in the workspace, so you do dot part. There you go, reference the part there. So then if you can drop a few lines, we can now start manipulating the part and changing different properties about it. So first property we're going to change is we're going to make it fall out of the sky. So the way we can do that is changing anchor to false. So as you probably saw in the last video, if you change this anchored value in the properties to false, it'll make the part fall out of the sky. So if I run the game and do it manually, so if I click on the part and turn anchor to false, yeah, there you go, it falls out of the sky. But we need to do that in a script, because you can't sit and watch every single server of your game whenever people are playing it and do it manually, because that's just too difficult. So what you can do is in this script you can change the properties by doing part dots and then changing any property here. So we're going to change anchored. So if you do part dot anchored, so you're changing the anchored property of the part, and you're setting it equal to false because it's a true or false value, which is called a boolean. So bool values, you've got true or false for bool values. You've got integers, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got float values, which is decimals, so 1.2, 3.2, whatever. And then you've got strings, which is in speech marks. Then you type anything here. And those are the 4 main data types. There are actually a lot more, like, you know, vector 3s, which is X, Y, and Z. Vector 2s, which is just X and Y. Then C-frames, colours. But those are the basic ones. So here in this line, it's changing anchor to false. But again, we don't want it to fall out of the sky straight away, you want it to be timed. So we can use a built-in function called wait. Now, just type wait and a pair of brackets, and then here something pops up. So seconds, we need to insert a number. Now, you can use an int or a float, so that can be either 1 or something like 2.1. 1 being your int and 2.1 being the float. But you know, I'm just going to leave it at something like 3. So now, we've written this really basic script. So if we go through it, it's saying this is a new variable called part, and that is the part in the workspace which is in the game. And then we're waiting 3 seconds, then after 3 seconds we're changing the anchored property of the part to false. So now, if we run the game, which can be done by clicking down arrow, generally it says play here, but you can just click the down arrow and click run, or you can press F8, and then If it does this, just click stop and run again. It's a Roblox Studio bug. And then if we wait 3 seconds, there you go, it's falling out of the sky. So that works fine, but that's boring. We need to add more stuff to make it more fun. So now I think we should change the transparency. So the transparency is a float value between 0 and 1 decimal. So the way we can do that is, again, change the property. So part, dot, and then the property name, so transparency. So it's just like anchored, but this time, it's not a bool value, it's a float value. So you can set that equal to a number between 0 and 1. So if I set that to 0.5, it will make the part half transparent. And again, I'm going to make it wait 1 more second before it does that. So if we run the game again, and wait for the part to fall out of the sky, and then there you go, it's turned half transparent. Now it's fairly similar with all the other properties of a part, like reflectance, but there are more complicated ones like colour, size, C-frame, position, which need separate values. So first of all, we're going to change the colour of the part. And again, like before, we're going to change another property. So if I just make it wait another second, now this time I'm going to do part.color, spelled C-O-L-O-R, American spelling, and we're setting that equal to. But this time, it's not just like a number, it's not an int, it's 3 different numbers, because it's a color 3 value. So, what we're going to do is we're going to use an RGB value. So the way we do that is color 3 dot from RGB, red, green, blue, then a pair of brackets, and then we're giving it 3 numbers. So red, green, and blue, and each of these is an int between 0 and 255. So if we do 255, 255, 255, that's white. And then, but if we do 0, 0, 0, that's black. And then another example is 25500, that's red, because it's fully red, not green or blue. But if we set it to 0, 2550, that's green, because again, it's 0 on red, 255 on green, and 0 on blue. And then, again, obviously, 0, 255, that's fully blue. So, I'm going to make it change to slightly yellow and slightly red, which will give me a turquoisey colour. Sorry, slightly green and slightly blue, which will give me a turquoisey colour. Alright, so now you've got the part.color being set to this color 3 value from RGB, which is, again, 3 numbers. And we're setting it to 0, so no red, 125 green, and 125 blue. Now if we run this script again, you'll see, first of all, our part falls out of the sky, and then it turns half transparent, and then it turns turquoise. So that's working fully now. That's 3 different properties we've changed, and it all works in one script, and it's separated by this wait function here. You can have these set to whatever you want, as long as they're within the ranges. So transparency has between 0 and 1. Anchored has to be true or false, but with part.color, you can again set it to anything you like. So I could have it grey, I could have it fully white, anything works, whatever you want to change it to. But now we've learned how to change basic properties, we're going to add something else in. So we're going to make it every 3 seconds, move the part 10 studs higher into the air. So for this, we're going to use a while true loop, which runs forever basically. If you add a few new lines at the bottom, we can make this while true loop. So the way you do that is while space true space do, just press enter, and it'll open you this function here. But first of all, we need to make it wait 3 seconds, because if you just leave it like this, it's going to run and run and run and crash your script, because it's just going to run as fast as it can. So again, add this wait function here, set it to 3 seconds. And now we need to make the position of the part add 10 studs on the y-axis. So basically what we're going to be doing is taking the position value that the part's already got and adding another position value, which is 0 on the x, 10 on the y, and 0 on the z. So the way we can do that is, again, change the property like any other property. So part dot position, and then we're setting it equal to the current position. Now we can reference that just like we're changing it. So part dot position. So this is the current position of the part. We're setting it equal to the current position, and then we're adding. So with plus, we're going to set a new vector 3 value. Now vector 3, in the name, it's 3 vectors. So it's x, y, and z. So the way we can make a vector 3 value is vector 3 dot new, in the pair of brackets, and you need to give it an x value, a y value, and a z value. So the x value, we don't need anything, so if we set it to 0, and the Y value, we're adding 10 studs to it. So if we put 10 in there, and then 0 on the Z. So, here, if we run through this again, so forever, it is waiting 3 seconds, and then setting the part's position in the world to the current position of the part, plus 10 studs on the x-axis, so it's going up by 10 studs each time. So if we try and run this game now, you'll see the part falls out of the sky, turns transparent and turns white, and then if we back up a bit, you'll see every 3 seconds it's moving up by 10 studs. And that'll happen forever, it will never stop. Even if I move it over there, it'll just move up by 10 studs, no matter where you put it in the world. However, that's really simple. So what I think we should do is make it go up by a random amount between 10 and 100 each time. So we need to make it, so forever, this time we need to make it wait 3 seconds, and then make this new variable. I'm going to set this variable to a number between 10 and 100. So it could be anything, it could be 50, it could be 60, it could be 12. But then in here, we need to make it, instead of going up by 10, we need to make it go up by that variable. So if we first make the variable, so if we call it local random amount, then we set it equal to another built-in function. So this is math.random. So if you do math and then a dot, you can see all the different ones that there is. But for this, we're just going to be using math.random and then a pair of brackets. So the game just has this automatically. It's a function that's given to you by Roblox. So it's using, basically what this function is going to do is you're going to pass it 2 different numbers, and it's going to give you a number within this range. So if you do it between 10 and then a comma and then 100, it's going to do it between 10 and 100. So now we've got this random amount. We want to know what this random amount is each time. We don't want to just make it go up. We want to be told what this amount is. So we're going to use another built-in function called print. Now this is going to go into this output tab here at the bottom. If you don't have this open again, you can go to the view tab at the top and click output. But it'll go here. So what it's going to do is just add a new line somewhere in this output tab and say we want it to say this random number. So just add a few lines in this while true loop, and we can do print and then a pair of brackets, and then we're going to do the random amount. So random amount. So after it's defined this, it's not going to print out the string random amount. It's not going to print out literally random amount into the output. It's going to say whatever number it's generated between 10 and 100. So it might be 50, it prints out to the output tab, or whatever it's generated. But still here, where it's only going up by 10. So we need to change this Y value here to this random amount. So if you just change that and type in random amount, it's not this literally saying random amount. It's got the value, it's holding this value that we've given between 10 and 100. So if we run through this again, so forever, it's waiting 3 seconds, and it's generating a random number between 10 and 100, and it's setting this value, this variable, random amount to that. And then we're printing out whatever number's been generated to this output tab, so we know what it is. And then we're setting the part's position to the current position, plus 0 on the X, whatever this random number is on the Y, and then again 0 on the Z. So now if we run the game, you will see that it falls out the sky, goes transparent, turns white, and then it'll start falling out of the sky every 3 seconds. And if we go into this output tab here, we can see it's telling us whatever the random height is, whatever the random Y value is, however much it's going up by, basically. So that's all I'm going to teach you how to do today. I think we've covered quite a lot, so I recommend you go and practice that before you move on to the next video. But again, you can change this to whatever you want. So you can make it go up between 100 and 1000. You can make it go up between 1 and 10. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what you put in there. Sorry, if you set it to negative numbers, so between -1 and -10, even though it's adding it, so it's adding a negative number, so it's still going to be going down. So just keep that in mind. But again, you can change these values to basically anything. You can have transparency between 0 and 1, colour between 0 and 255 on each, and then true or false for bubble values, and you can make it wait however long you want. So, Hope that was simple enough, understandable. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe, like, I guess, and there will be another follow-up video coming out soon. Thank you for watching, goodbye.